In this vlog, I will cover a very important subject, which is being there to make decisions on site, where you have the opportunity to see, feel, and also connect. I'm a big believer that these decisions will not be made in a boardroom. Making sure that the supply chain is in place is happening on site. Let's just start this vlog here. The distance between the different places that we go to in China is pretty long. So we have to drive now for approximately 1 hour. So we are able to meet up with some factories that we have as partners. We are moving closer to the city, as you can see here. If we look closer to that car, then there is a license plate which is green. When it's green, it's electric car. This is the place where we manufacture some of our raw materials for our products. For this specific factory, we are focusing on copper and aluminium. So we will have a closer look on how that works. Now, this place that we are in here right now is a warehouse where they have all the packaging that you can see here. And then they also have the different components that they have to send out to all the different, in this case, lighting suppliers and also automotive suppliers. This is probably around 10 kilos, so it's massive. And then we have bought the complete copper materials here, so we are able to start the manufacturing of the Nor in this case here. If we move closer to this direction over here, not finished yet, but it's a process where we have the track light, so you have the finish here as well. When it comes to manufacturing in China, it's crucial that you are on site. Of course, you can have people there working for you on the factory, but in this case here, this factory here is a cooperation partner to our other factory which we own. So we have to make sure that they understand exactly what we want, and this is why I am on site, to making sure that what we need is actually what is manufactured. We always go through the different machines to making sure that the quality of the machines is aligned with the quality that we need. So it's always the latest machines that we're using to manufacture our different components. You do not get one factory to fit every component. We are in the electronic business, so to say lighting business, which means that we get our components from both driver suppliers and also factories like this, where you have a manufacturing of materials like copper, aluminium, and so on. And then we have other suppliers supplying, let's say, things like this. So you do not find one supplier. Maybe if you want to do trading, but in this case here, we are focusing on being our own manufacturer. And in that event, you need to make sure that you have different suppliers that can do the supply chain, so you are able to manufacture exactly that product that you need. Every part has a key function in the product, and if something goes wrong with one component, then you do not have a really good product at the end. So this is for Nor. It's a luxury product. It's the front ring of the spotlight. It's difficult to see, but we actually have a little bit extra space here compared to over here, which means that this part here will not go through our quality control. Quality control is part of your process here as well. If you're not here, then decisions is not so easy to make actually. So it can always be built up on pictures, and you can explain a lot of different things. You can of course use with 3D renders, you can use step files and so on. But when it comes to an end, seeing the finished product, it's very important that you are here. You know, so just small things like talking with the staff around you and just talking with the people is crucial for having the right product at the end. Now we are around the polishing area, so you saw it raw before, and we can have a look. It's almost ready to be assembled. This is the part that you will receive, and the part here is then taken to the factory of your own, or taken to the factory, let's say in Europe or whatever, and then you put the components, that could be LEDs in this case, drivers, wires and so on, and assemble it as a finished product. This is a great example of our finished product. The finish of this is just amazing to see. Even though it looks simple, there are so many details and so many processes before we ended up having this product. Making the final result will make you more safe, and you will be able to have products aligned with this specific standard. Because if something is not according to the standard, and if it's like, let's say, scratchy, or if it's not like aligned with the right measurements or something like that, you can always say that was not part of the agreement. And then you're related directly to the finished product. When choosing colors, it's quite important to have the samples ready. When it comes to massive copper, massive brass, massive aluminum, iron, whatever, you will have a different outlook of the treatment. On this side you have the iron, on this side you have the massive copper. This looks a little bit more beautiful compared to the iron, where the iron is cheaper, but you can see there is a significant different setup on these two, even though the treatment is the same. So that is an important factor when it comes to choosing colors. What you have to look for when we are starting a new cooperation with a factory, you need to have a clean space. If it's a mess around you when you enter the factory, you will most likely have the same issue in the supply chain. I look on the warehouse, I look at the manufacturing processes, and also looking around the different staff, how are they behaving and so on. The second one is that is the factory a factory where I want to work myself. So if the factory is not really, aligned with your own company rules, you will most likely not have a right communication with that factory or the staff there is working on the factory. The third thing it is that you need to make sure that the communication is straightforward. If they are more annoyed by your kind of interest for making the product as a really good result at the end, and they do not want to be on that journey, then it's just not the right match for you. So that's 3 really interesting and easy things to look for in the beginning. We have just arrived at one of our partners when it comes to small components. What they are doing here on this factory is that they are basically making all types of fittings for our luminaires. This is what I'm standing with right now, is just a fitting that is used typically to hang luminaire. It can also be types like this. One of the machines that we use a lot, this is what we see here. It is cooled down with oil, as you can see, and then there is a lot of materials just laying on that direction. It is moved through the machine, and then you have the product which is looking like this, where you basically just have a little area here. The good thing about these types of machines is that it's actually quite stable, and the accuracy is great. So mechanical still works and perfect for these different smaller components. A little bit of reflections here from the car. We have decided to go with this factory because we had the chance to making sure that they were focusing on long-term goals, not a short-term goal. And it has been quite of a challenge through my years here in China that sometimes factories are more into short-term goals, and we have never really been into that kind of game. Now we only go for those factories that is focusing on long-term relationships. And it also means that you can grow together. When you are working with electronics, you cannot really avoid to speak into printed circuit boards. And I just wanted to let you know about the process. For some, this might be a little bit boring. I apologize for that, but it is a great part of what we do here with our lighting products in China. So first of all, we have the process where you have printed circuit boards laying down here so you can give it the soldering paste. The soldering paste is great for connectivity. From here, you are able to add the PCBs over here. The process is pretty simple. What will happen is when you have the PCBs added to the plate, then the machine will just make sure to add the LEDs automatically directly on the printed circuit board inside this machine. 10 years ago, it was done manually. You can almost imagine how slow that was if you had to do it manually. When you have the LEDs on the printed circuit board from the machine over here, you need to make sure that it is soldered correctly at the printed circuit board right here on the band. And what will happen is that they will go through the machine and then the machine will heat it up. That makes it possible for the machine to solder the PCBs. So you have the PCBs at the end over here, and if everything is perfect, then the quality control will be easier from here and ahead. But making sure that the quality control is good here is crucial for having products with less failures. LED strips is something that is used a lot in the lighting industry. What you can see here is just the LED boards that are basically ready. What happens afterwards, it is that we bring those LED strips over to the mold that you have here. There's already power cords on the LED strips, and at this level here you do not have any glue or anything else which makes them IP20. IP20 means non-waterproof. When we take the mold here and everything is aligned, how it works is that you have different ventiles which is supplied with glue. So down here you can see there's different ventiles, and what will happen is that the glue will just be supplied directly to those, and then it's just like covering the full circuit board. It is a really simple process, and it's typically a process that is aligned if you want your printed circuit board to be waterproof. So it's not only for lighting industry, this happens a lot of different places that you use the glue, of course the right glue to do that, and then you have an, let's say, waterproof product. So what do I think about the different samples that I have seen today? The quality is really good, first of all. The colors is a little bit different, especially the dime black, but now we have found another name for that, which you said, what was that?
Yeah, dark copper.
Dark copper, exactly. When we are on the factory visit, Ben and I, we always look into how they are communicating with, especially Ben, because I'm not so good in Chinese, is crucial. So, just an example. One of them who said, okay, so to make sure that we get the same quality each time, we keep 2 pieces of the finished product, which is confirmed, and then we can also use that as a reference point to the new manufacturing that we do. It's maybe simple, and it's maybe something that you say, obviously, do that, but many people do not really think about that. They're just like, okay, we have the product now, so we just manufacture a lot of them, and we do it every month we just start to manufacture again. The problem is sometimes you can just be in a position where the supplier changes a little bit, and then you can have a product which is not aligning with your end goal, so to say. Really important, and it just makes me feel happy that we now finally have found a supplier for our supply chain of these lamp housing, where we actually can, just be happy with the end result. So that's just great. How do you feel, Ben?
I feel extremely good.
Yes.
Also, in order to protect the parts of our bigger foam for each of the components, they do not damage it when delivery from the factory to our office.
Exactly.
So we will protect the components.
That's true. That we also had to talk about that. The transportation is also part of the supply chain, obviously. So making sure that the transportation is perfectly, so there will be no scratches in the components and so on, is also a really interesting part. The great tour, a great communication afterwards, the same values, long-term business relationships, not only focusing on the price, the employee seems happy, the machines is great, there's clean around the factories. Things like that is, part of the decision on site whether you should work with that supplier or not. I think we have found a new one, or I would say I know we have found a new one where we are able to add this specific supplier to our supply chain. So I hope you found this vlog valuable. Thank you for watching and see you next time. Bye.